The Three Hunters by Leonora Carrington. I was having a rest in a deep forest. The trees and wild fruit were ripe. It was autumn. I was beginning to fall asleep when a heavy object fell on my stomach. It was a dead rabbit. Blood running from its mouth. It was dead of fatigue. I'd hardly freed myself of the rabbit when, with a leap more agile than a stag's, a man landed beside me. He was of medium height, had a red face and a long white mustache. From his face, I'd have guessed him to be about 90. "You're pretty nimble for your age," I said. But then I looked at his clothes. He was wearing a hunting jacket, the color of Damascus rose, a bright green hat with orange plumes, and very long black boots trimmed with summer flowers. He wore no trousers. He looked at the rabbit with interest. "I was going slowly to give the poor beast a chance," he said, "but it just didn't know how to run. In the future, I'll leave the rabbits to McFlanagan." I tried to think of something nice to say to him. "I like your outfit," I said with a pleasant smile. "Oh, that," he replied. "People with a certain aesthetic appreciation will find that it lacks distinction. But it's only sporting to wear these colors. If the animals see me coming, they have more chance." Then his expression changed. "Is it whiskey you got in that bottle?" "Yes," I said. "Oh," he said. "Really?" "Yes, yes." "Ah." He sat down beside me and said, staring at the bottle as if hypnotized, "You did say it was whiskey." 1900. "A very good year. It's the vintage I prefer." "Me too." "Ah." Yes, by this time I'd guessed that he perhaps wanted a little drink. I offered him a drink. He accepted. "You know, I've got an extraordinary cellar. Would you like to taste some of my wines?" "Yes," I said. "Take this path on the left straight, and cross every path you come to. It's the first manor after the 18th crossroads." "But aren't you coming?" "I can only travel in leaps and bounds," he replied, disappearing between the trees in leaps 5 yards long. I started out. Around midnight, I arrived at the manor house. The door was opened by an individual on all fours. "My brother McBulligan has been waiting for you since noon. I am McFlanagan, the terror of the forest. McBulligan is the curse of the forest, and McHooligan is the abomination of the forest. McHooligan is the crook." We went into a room 100 yards long and 50 wide. McBulligan was sitting at the table in front of 6 dozen hares, 100 wild ducks, and 19 boars. "McHooligan," shouted McBulligan, "we're ready to start eating." A noise of wind and McHooligan entered like lightning. He couldn't stop himself before the other end of the room and hit the wall, and sat at the table bleeding. His brothers looked at him with gloom. "He could never go slower than that," said McFlanagan, still on all fours. McHooligan was maybe 10 years older than McBulligan, and exhibited the same profound sadness as his brother. During the meal, they all cried hot tears into their plates. Towards the end of the meal, McBulligan said, "McFlanagan ought to have a shave." It was the first thing that had been said. An hour later, McFlanagan said, "Why?" And 2 hours after that, McBulligan said, "Because." McHooligan didn't say anything at all. He was crying too much. Getting on 5 in the morning, McBulligan said, "Let's live it up a bit, shall we? I need some amusement." And since the others didn't say anything, he turned to me. "I've got some hunting trophies. Would you like to see them?" Walking through the long gallery, we arrived in a room well lit by some lamps. There was nothing but sausages. Sausages in aquariums, sausages in cages, sausages hanging on the walls, sausages in sumptuous glass boxes. Nothing but sausages. I may have shown a certain surprise. McBulligan looked at his sausages. That, he said to me, is the hand of destiny." I stood beside him in deep thought. One's got to realize that nothing is eternal, that nothing... He contemplated the landscape of sausages. Nothing is finally stronger than goodness. Since my grandfather Agnes McFruit's first communion, the family has been in dire straits. Jock McFish McFruit, my poor father, could walk only on his head. Geraldine, my mother, a saint, would walk only on her. But the details are too personal. He shed a few tears. Still, don't let's be sentimental. It all began the day of my grandfather's first communion. He was only a lad. He didn't realize the solemnity of the occasion. The evening before this holy day, the eve before he was to receive his Lord, he ate a plate of beans. And the next morning at church, McBulligan hesitated. It happened that a certain noise escaped him. He went on looking at the landscape of sausages. I felt him fighting his emotions. From that day, the judgment of the good Lord has been upon us. Whatever trophy we try to preserve becomes a sausage. And we ourselves, well, as you can see. He turned away with great emotion, and I heard his bounding steps disappear into the manor house.